Hello, my cookies. Welcome to Russell Cooks. Thanks for tuning in. All right, Memorial Day is coming up. Nothing is more quintessential than barbecues, grill outs. So I got 5 of my favorite burger toppings. In no specific order. I'm just going to do them in the order that they require because of the timing. Salted onion, pickled onions. I'm not going to do caramelized onions today because I've already done those. I got my nacho topping, candied bacon topping, and my final favorite is my burger sauce. First things first, I'm going to jump right into my onions. Now these are one of my favorite because they remind me of those onions from McDonald's. They're not overly sharp. They're just that oniony flavor. They add a little bit of salty goodness. McDonald's tricks for their onions is they dehydrate. And then when they get them to the store, they rehydrate them. Obviously, we can't do that. And that's a lot of time and effort that we're not going to do. But we're going to toss them with a whole bunch of kosher salt and draw out the moisture. And then we're going to rinse them off. And it's going to take a lot of those sharp, harsh flavors away. Dull them down, but you still are left with some of that oniony goodness and a little bit of that sharpness. You need an onion. I have a massive onion here. All right, you don't need a massive onion. Small onion's fine. I'm only using half. It's left over from last night and it's so big. You want about a cup and you want chopped fine. You need a bowl and a mesh strainer and you're gonna need some time. Chop this nice. Let's get these in our bowl. So you want about a cup. This is maybe a little bit more. I don't feel like wasting onion, so I'm gonna go up a little bit on my salt. Probably gonna do about 2.5 tablespoons of salt. You need that salt to draw out all this moisture. Don't forget, you're gonna rinse the onions off, so you're gonna take away a lot of that saltiness. 1, 2, that one was kind of heaping, so I'll put a teeny bit more in. Really toss it around. Now you gotta let it set for 30 minutes. We're gonna drain it, rinse it. Look how much liquid they've released. Now I'm gonna drain them in a fine mesh strainer and rinse off all that excess salt. These are gonna taste just like the McDonald's onion. And if you feel like they don't, then let them sit a little bit longer in the salt mixture. All right, now I'm gonna let those drain and dry, and that's gonna take another 20 minutes. So this is something you do ahead of time. Absolutely, it's worth it, I promise. Now that that rests, we're gonna do some pickled onions. This is great on a whole sort of things. You can do them on tacos, you can do them on your burger. Throw in some jalapenos to pickle those as well. These are a quick pickle. I'm gonna be using my red wine vinegar, and I'm gonna do about 1¼ cup. All right, 1¼ cups red wine vinegar. You can do this in the microwave if you want. I'm gonna do it on the stovetop. This is not the best onion. We're gonna work with it here. I'm gonna slice these thin. I like slicing them this way thin. That's what I'm gonna do. They tend to hold up a little bit better. Now make sure you get the root end off completely. All right, so we got our onions. Now we're gonna make the stuff we pour over top. 1¼ cups red wine vinegar, 1/3 cup sugar. Brought up to a boil, dissolve the sugar in it. Now I'm gonna pour it over here and let it sit for about 30 minutes. Woohoo! That made the air super spicy. All right, we're gonna let that sit for about 30 minutes. I've been sitting for 29 minutes and 45 seconds. These are our quick pickled red onions. Now look how they turned a little pink. They've absorbed this red wine vinegar. Yes, look, they've all broken apart. They're still a little warm, but they still got a little crunch to them. Let's see. They're sharp. They're a teeny bit sweet, but they're not like sweet. They're like that oniony sweet. This is very nice. It's gonna be great on a nice big beefy fatty burger. But you don't want to let them sit too long. You want to drain these. Don't store them in the vinegar. They'll get too sharp. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is our nacho topping. Now, I love nachos. You put them on a burger, they're great. They add extra crunch. You can flavor them with cheese and spice and whatnot. It's gonna be really, really good. We're gonna make a little quick salsa. I've got pickled jalapenos, tortilla chips, prepared baking sheet. I'm gonna spray it. All right, I got my toaster oven going at 300 degrees. So essentially we're gonna make these little nacho towers, bake them in the toaster oven to melt the cheese. You don't wanna do this too far ahead. You wanna do this around the same time as you're making the burger. All right, for my cheese, I'm doing a combination of Colby Jack and sharp cheddar. I like sharp cheddar because of the flavor. I like Colby Jack because it melts well. Anything that's aged, think Parmesan, sharp cheddars, extra sharp, they don't melt that well. They'll break apart. Younger cheese, think mozzarella, Colby Jack, Monterey Jack. Those melt really well. They're young. They won't break apart. But they also don't have a ton of flavor. I mean, mozzarella doesn't really have a ton of flavor. So I'm going to do about 4 ounces each. Half Colby Jack, half sharp cheddar. Make sure your cheese is cold. All right, now that I got my cheese, I'm actually going to toss in little jalapenos. You can absolutely omit these. You can also have fun with it, throwing cut up black olives or other favorite kind of nacho toppings. I'm really going to be looking for a couple tablespoons of minced up jalapenos. I'm going to add my jalapenos in here, and then I'm just going to give it a quick toss. Get everything nice and mixed. Perfect. Let's make it just a little mini salsa. You can put this on your nacho burger. It's got a really nice tomato here, heirloom. You're gonna want to core it, chop it up fine. We're gonna toss it with a little salt, shallot, and let it sit. We're gonna drain it and toss it with a little bit of lime juice before we put it on. That'll keep our bun and other stuff from getting soggy. One tablespoon of shallot should be plenty. Don't go overboard. Doesn't have to be perfect. Chopped fine is fine. 1/4 inch. No Michelin star restaurant here. Gonna toss that with, I got kosher salt here, so a heaping 1/4 teaspoon. It's gonna draw out some of that moisture. That will drain off, and then we'll season it with our lime juice. Ooh, and cilantro. We'll get cilantro in there too. I like a couple tablespoons here. Yeah. Quick salsa, nothing better. All right, now I'm gonna set my chips up here. All right, so I'm gonna do this for 4 burgers. You can do this for more, bigger tray, bigger oven. I'm using my toaster oven. I'm gonna set them up, but I'm not gonna put them in the oven until I start cooking my burgers. You want a few chips. You essentially wanna make a bun size little pile here. Martin buns are the best buns. I love them. They're a little small, 3.5 inches. So if you're using Martin buns, you're gonna have to make a 3.5 inch circle. If you're using something else, different potato bun, brioche bun, 4 inches is pretty much a standard. And I got about the right size going. And it's okay to take a little extra time with this. It'll pay off in the end. I promise you. And you have nice, neat little piles here. All right. Let me take our cheese mixture. Remember, this has to cover 8 layers. Because we're doing 2 layers each. These smell so good. I mean, the cheese doesn't, but the jalapenos. I'm gonna love that little spicy bite. All right, so we're just gonna do the same thing here, just another little layer. And we're gonna top it with cheese. Doesn't have to be perfect. We're not going for Michelin stars. We're just going for really nice. There we go. All right, now pretty much the rest of our cheese here. Oh man, I was too busy being preoccupied about whether or not I could to ask whether or not I should, but I did and I shall. Now I'm actually gonna set these aside, and when I'm ready to cook my burgers, we'll put them in the toaster oven. Meanwhile, I'm gonna get some lettuce going. I love shredded lettuce on my burgers. So I just got a head iceberg, took it cut in half. I washed the leaves, I stacked them back up. I'm gonna put my nachos in the oven. Look at these nice little nacho piles there. Look at this. This is brilliant. I love this. Look. Right on top. You can put it right on top. First things first, I'm gonna get a little bit of this salsa. You should drain it and hit it with some lime. I'm just gonna hit it with some lime from my spoon. Put this on top. Do a little sour cream. You got yourself a nacho burger here. All right, for this next one, I'm gonna be doing bacon. Gotta love bacon, gotta love it on a burger. But this isn't just any old bacon. Plain bacon, great. This is gonna be kind of like a candied bacon. But we're gonna add a little extra spice to it. So it's really gonna pop. You're gonna get the fatty, you're gonna get the sweet, you're gonna get some of that spice. All right, first things first, we gotta prep everything. I've got light brown sugar. I got Aleppo pepper. I love this stuff. It adds a ton of depth, not just spice and heat, right? If you don't have Aleppo or you can't find it, ground black pepper's fine. You're gonna want about a teaspoon total. I don't put raw meat on my wood cutting board. So we're gonna do about a 1/4 cup packed light brown sugar. You can do 2 tablespoons dark brown, 2 tablespoons granulated if you want. Dark brown, it's a little bit too much. So that's why you gotta cut it with the granulated or use light brown. Now I'm gonna get my Aleppo. I'm gonna do 1.5 teaspoons, depending on how spicy you like it. Do this with ground black pepper as well, if you don't have Aleppo. All right, heaping teaspoon. All right, I'm gonna add a teaspoon of water. We got a nice little paste here. All right, let's move over to our bacon. I got my bacon here. Center cut tends to be a little bit more even in size and shape. We're gonna cut it in half. We're gonna get it onto our prepared baking sheet here. You want a wire rack that in here. I'm gonna spray this down and we're gonna lay them out. All right, here we go. All right, here we go. I'm gonna lay them out. You cut them in half, obviously. They'll shrink up a little bit. It'll be the perfect size for a burger. You don't want full lengths of bacon here. You don't really want them doubled up either. Set that one aside. If they're too fatty or like 90% fat, you gotta have a little meat on their bones, if you know what I mean. All right, now we're gonna take our sugar mixture here, and we're just gonna kind of try and spread it. Now, adding that little bit of water kind of helps it clump together, which is nice when you're trying to spread it here. All right, we're only doing it on one side. We're not going to flip them at all. We're just getting one side. That's all you need. All right, I'm going to bake these. It's best to do lower mid and then upper mid. Rotate it halfway through, shift the racks. All right, 20 to 25 minutes. 350 degrees. Here's the bacon. Last but not least, we have one of my favorite, just the classic burger sauce. You can put this on anything. Hot dogs, burgers, whatever, plain. We got mayo, we got ketchup, we got sweet pickle relish, and we got Worcestershire sauce. Now this adds an umami, vinegary, sharp bite. I love it. I love Worcestershire sauce. First things first, we're gonna get our mayonnaise going. Now, this can be scaled. So rather than a half cup of mayo, I'm gonna do 1/4 cup. Rather than a 1/4 cup of ketchup, I'm gonna do 2 tablespoons. And rather than 2 teaspoons of relish, I'm just gonna do 1 teaspoon. Now for the Worcestershire sauce, you can do this to taste. Rather than 2 teaspoons, I'm gonna do 1 teaspoon. Now you might be tempted to salt and pepper this to taste. Don't. Sugar and pepper it to taste. If it's too sharp, sugar. I think it's perfect as is. You can adjust it as you want. You want a little sharper, more vinegar, or a little more Worcestershire. Look at this guy here. No cheese to hide it. Oh yeah. Some of this delicious burger sauce. Some of these onions. Oh yeah. They're a little salty. The salt really took a lot of that sharpness away. It's still a little bit there. You want that, but you don't want like in your face. I'm gonna be tasting onions all day. And that's what the salt did. Took that out. All right, and this one, I'm gonna do my pickled onions. All right, this is the nacho burger. Now I know what you're thinking. You're like, this is too big, I can't put it in my mouth. I know you're like, Russell, you got a big mouth. I get it, I do. I have one. But who's in charge of the food? You or the food? Who's in charge? You are, so give it a smush. You can fit that in your mouth for sure. All right, let's give it a cut. Oh yeah. Look at that. You got the burger You got the salsa, you got the chips, sour cream, lettuce, that cheese on those nachos. It's gonna be super crunchy. Let's do a bite. It's so good. It's so fresh. You get the crunchy chips. You got the big, greasy, beefy burger. Some of that tang coming from the sour cream, the spice from the jalapenos, and that fresh salsa just really combines everything together. It doesn't taste like a typical steakhouse burger. This really does taste like a nacho burger. There's no other explanation for it. It's just so good. All right, this, it's hard to see. We got the sauce in there. You got some of those onions. All right, let's cut it in half. Look at that. Look at that. Juicy. That sauce, those onions. They're so good. You got the crunchy, crisp onions. They give you a little bit of that onioness, but they're not overpowered. They don't take over this whole thing. The sauce ties everything together. Rich, tangy, big beefy burger. This is fantastic. This is the easiest one. You can put these things out for your Memorial Day barbecue. People can help themselves. Put this stuff on hot dogs or whatnot. Anything. These haven't cooled completely, so they're not going to be perfectly crisp. But once they cool, that sugar will harden. I mean, you can kind of see it's still a little not that crisp. But doesn't that just look fantastic? Look at that. Got that nice beefy smash burger. Bacon. It's so surprising. In a delicious way. You're hit with the big beef, and then those pickled onions really kind of start to take over. And all of a sudden, the bacon comes in. And it's just so rich, but then you have that sweet rich. Just turns a little bit sweet, and then the spice from the Aleppo kicks in. So it's like, it's not a bam, bam, bam. It's like a da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It just really works. It doesn't, if it was like 1, 2, 3, I don't really like that. To me, that doesn't melt. But this was just like an evolving flavor in my mouth that just is. It was just so good. Not bacon. Not bacon or something else. Thanks for joining me. Follow me on Twitch. Follow me on YouTube. I'm on TikTok as well. So you get 5 great burger toppings for your Memorial Day weekend. All right, barbecue it up all summer long. These things last in the fridge as well. So don't be afraid to make a little extra. All right, thanks again. I'll see you next time.